How's it going, Toons of the world? It is your pal Megasnoop bringing you another Toontastic video. And in today's video, I wanted to just bring you a little bit of a compare and contrast type of video between two of the more popular Toontown servers that are out there. And when I say popular, I mean, well, the most played, because there's Toontown Rewritten that has an average of 1,800 to 2,000 players, and then there's Toontown Fellowship that has an average of 18 to 20 players. It's not to say that Toontown Fellowship is really popular, but out of all the servers, it's probably the one with the second most amount of people on it. Because of all the people that I know, that I talk to, they all say they have a toon on Toontown Fellowship, they just hardly ever play it. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of registered accounts for that game, just not a lot of people playing it. So this idea was brought to me while I was streaming. I was streaming Toontown Fellowship, and somebody in the chat was like, hey, what do you think between this and Toontown Rewritten? Why don't you make a video about it? And I was like, you know what? That's a really great idea. So shout out to that viewer who gave me that idea. I can't remember the viewer's name. I'm sorry. I'm a scumbag. I love you. But here's to break it down. Like, first of all, I'm going to tell you kind of what they have in common and what is different. So if you've never played Toontown Fellowship before, it is a much smaller server that doesn't have as many people playing it. But in all honesty, it probably should, because there's a lot of different things than the original Toontown or even Toontown Rewritten. Whereas Toontown Rewritten is a very old classic style Toontown. It is basically trying to rebrand Toontown Online. It's trying to bring back the exact kind of same storyline and feel and everything that Toontown Online had. So that's what Toontown Rewritten is, whereas TTF is trying to, in a sense, make it different, change it up, and more or less personalize it for each specific player. So I have a little short list here. The first thing I can tell you is that Toontown Fellowship has doodles. So if doodles are that big of an issue for you and you really need doodles, Toontown Fellowship has got doodles. Toontown Fellowship also has WASD support. So if you feel like you want to play WASD or you're just used to playing your other games that have WASD, Toontown Fellowship is the place you're going to want to go because it does have that WASD support. Toontown Rewritten keeps talking about how they're going to add it. They haven't added it yet, so we'll see if that ever comes to light. Another thing that Toontown Fellowship has done that is actually different, and I think a lot of people could utilize, maybe make the game a little bit more different and fun for you, is the fact that you get to choose what gags you start with, and you get to choose the order in which you get those gags. So for instance, in the typical Toontown and Toontown Rewritten, you get to start with Throw and Squirt, and then you have a choice between Toon-Up and Sound as your first gag that you earn. In Toontown Fellowship, you get to choose what you start with. You can start with Toon-Up and Sound, you can start with Throw and Squirt, you can start with Drop and Trap, you can start with any two gags that you want. And then on top of that, the first gag that you train for, you get to choose that too. The next gag you train for, you get to choose that too. You literally get to choose the order in which you get your gags, and in that sense, you could even go squirtless or throwless, the same way many people on their regular Toontown would go trapless or dropless. And then a second thing is that in Toontown Rewritten and Toontown Online, you have to go through a bunch of tasks, all the way to the Donald's Dreamland tasks, in order to earn your Cashbot suit. And then after you finish all the tasks in the game, you get the tasks for your Lawbot suit, and then after you finish those tasks, you get the tasks for your BossBot suit. In Toontown Fellowship, you can get your suits the same way you would get your Cellbot suit in any other version of Toontown. See, in Toontown Online and Rewritten, you can just go through the factory 10 times and get your suit, which means you could get your suit as a 16-laugh toon with level 2 gags if you were to be carried through the factory. And in Toontown Fellowship, you can do that with your Cashbot, Lawbot, and BossBot suits. You can go through the coin mint 10 times and get a suit at 16 laugh. You can go through the DA office at 30 laugh and get your Lawbot suit. I think this is a cool idea. It's just not an idea I think works for the game very well, just because of the fact that you're going to end up with like 30 laughers in the CJ and 40 laughers in the CEO, and it really takes the balancing issue out of it. Kind of like the same way we see a bunch of noobs in the VP begging to go with a group. If this same idea was implemented into a server with a lot more people in it, it would just cause mayhem and destruction, and I don't think anyone would ever be able to do a boss battle ever unless they coordinated it really well with their friends to only go with higher toons. And then lastly, one thing that I know that Toontown Fellowship is doing that's different is they actually made a more difficult version of a couple of the things in Toontown. For instance, they have a hardcore version of the factory that has, at the very beginning, a level 7, a level 8, and a level 9 in the place of where 2 level 3s and a level 5 would be, and their version 2.0. So that makes it even more difficult and really only for the faint of heart. Like, you don't want to be going and trying to do that factory at 30 laugh. It's just not going to happen. And then with that, all the cog buildings are immensely more difficult. There's a lot more cogs in every single cog building that you come across. In Toontown Rewritten and online, you could go into a 2-story building, find 1 cog on the first floor and 3 on the second. In Toontown Fellowship, you go into a 2-story building, there's going to be 4 cogs on the first floor and 6 cogs on the second floor. There's just more cogs everywhere, trying to make the game more difficult and trying to push players to be better, get better gags, play better, get better strategy. It reminds me a lot of what Toontown Infinite did, and I respected Toontown Infinite for doing that, trying to make a more difficult version of Toontown, and that's something I really respected about that server and kind of wish I could see in more servers now. And then another thing that Toontown Fellowship also has is the fact that you can hold almost as many jelly beans as you want to. I mean, you don't need to do tasks in order to have a bigger jelly bean jar. You just automatically have the ability to hold 10,000. And then on top of that, anything extra you get overflows to your bank, which is in Toontown Central, the Toontown Bank, and it just keeps going up. I don't know if that one has a limit. The most I've seen in it is 50,000. Because that's what I had, because people were spamming me with Unites, so who knows? But there doesn't seem to be a limit in jelly beans on that server. Now going over to TTR, like I said, one of the pros of that game is it is the classic Toontown. If you're just looking to play through the old Toontown game for nostalgic purposes because you missed it and you want to play it again, Toontown Rewritten is the place for you. That's what you're going to want to play. It's really going to hold the most nostalgia of Toontown in it. And then here and there it's got a little bit better of bug fixes. For instance, the maps that tell you where the cog buildings are, where your task is. Those work perfectly in Toontown Rewritten, and I've noticed in TTF they're very, very broken and have not been fixed. And then of course the number one reason is the players. There's just more people in Toontown Rewritten. If you're looking to do a boss battle, Toontown Rewritten is the place to go, because that's where you're probably going to find people to do it. In TTF, they have such little people that they have to coordinate and send out a mass message saying, hey, we're going to be doing a VP, anyone who wants to do a VP, please come here. And they have to really get everybody in the server together just to do one boss battle. And then TTR is also promising a lot of things in the future that sound really good, and who knows if those are coming or not, but if they are, that would be another really good plus to play Toontown Rewritten. But if they come, that's awesome. If they don't, then that's gonna really count against them 100%. But those are the major differences between the two games. My personal thoughts: I like Toontown Rewritten. I've met their staff in person. They're nice people. They're really trying hard on their game. They're just not quite there at the professional level yet. And if they could just come through with all their promises, it would be such a great server, and I would be so much more inclined to play it more. But as of right now, I don't have too much incentive to play Toontown Rewritten because I've done everything there is on that server. There's nothing new for me anymore. Toontown Fellowship is cool, it's different, it's fun. It is still the core basic Toontown though, so you will only get so much out of it if you're a player like me who's already played through all of Toontown already. But if you're just looking to mix it up, Toontown Fellowship is a good place to go. It doesn't have a lot of players, so it kind of makes it difficult to do certain things like finish a factory or do a VP. It's really a server that's a lot better if you have a couple friends who will play it with you. I know, kind of like Ben Royko has his series on Toontown Fellowship where he goes with his pal Midnight and they run around and they do stuff together. That way they have an actual group to go do stuff together with. That way he's not by himself and struggling to find somebody to do stuff. But there you go. Those are my honest thoughts on the two servers, comparing and contrasting them. You guys let me know what you guys think of the servers down in the comment section below. Which one do you like better? Which one do you want to try out if you've never played either of them before? Feel free to do that. Thank you guys for watching. It's your pal Megasnoop saying see you guys later. Stay tuney, God bless, and peace.